Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury.
And I'm Nick Amaral.
Thank you so much for joining us today, making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 30. Today, we're going to be talking all about how you guys can keep organized during the holiday downtime. Nick, how are you today? How are things going as December winds down?
Doing good, Jeff. Just excited to, get to the holidays and wrap up the first half of the school year and try out some new things come January when we get back.
We certainly had a great beginning to the school year. Lots of great stuff happening here on the podcast. 30 episodes down, and there's certainly a lot more to go. But I got to tell you, Nick, the one thing that I was excited about that happened recently, we had our graduation ceremony for our Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind. Nick, it was certainly a fantastic time, and we want to say thank you to everybody out there who was a part of our first cohort. And you know what, Nick? I got to tell you, I am absolutely looking forward to January when we start our second cohort.
Yeah, it was an exciting, group and experience to have with the other tech coaches from literally around the world. And I'm excited for the second time around. And I want to thank everyone again, and the tech coaches and the people that we had on the first time, and for sharing their experiences and learning with us along the way.
And we had a lot of people email us this week asking, is our tech coach mastermind right for them? We actually had some people email saying they're a first-year tech coach. Is this the right thing for me? We even had a teacher saying, I'm not a tech coach, but my school district looks to me to fill that need or to fill that void in the school district. Even though I'm not a tech coach, what can I get out of this? And I got to tell you, if you are a first-year tech coach, a fourth-year tech coach, somebody who's interested in being a tech coach, or heck, if you've been doing this for several years and you're looking to connect with everybody, there is something in our mastermind for you. Nick, tell us a little bit about some of the things that we offer in our January cohort.
Sure, Jeff. So, first thing is you're going to be part of an exclusive team of tech coaches. We're going to offer some peer-to-peer mentoring, 2 monthly guaranteed video collaborative meetings, an 8-week online course on learning management systems to get you from picking them to what do you do with it now that you've had it and how does it work with your teachers. We've got mastermind exclusives, some free lesson plans to share with your teachers, some free templates to share with your teachers. And all along the way, it'll be a positive, friendly learning environment, and you'll have access to our private Ask the Tech Coach Facebook group.
And that's what I'm most looking forward to, right? Because everybody who was in our first cohort is going to stay in our Facebook group. It's been busy the last couple weeks. And as we grow our cohorts, that Facebook group is just going to get more valuable. And we're going to have more and more tech coaches in it. Nick, what are some of the things that you've found out just by kind of interacting with everybody on Facebook?
Yeah, I think everyone likes the opportunity to post, and we get questions all the time, which is great. Just people sharing things that they're doing in their district, questions about, hey, how do we handle certain situations? Jeff, we just recently had myself included. I was sharing it, but we had a couple other tech coaches sharing their 12-day countdown to the holidays of different TechSmith types things that they were ed tech TechSmith type things they were doing in their school districts, and we were sharing the things we were doing and the type of activity. So I think they just like it where it's, hey, if I got a quick question or I need to go to a group to try to get a down to earth, realistic response, that's the place for them to go.
Now, there's only one way to sign up for our Tech Coach Mastermind. You can go to teachercast.net/Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind. That's teachercast.net/Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind. And for a limited time only, Nick, we are closing the gates on this on the day after Christmas. That's the day after Christmas. That's next week. We're going to be offering $100 off of the registration price when you use the coupon code TC100. And I got to tell you, Nick, that is nothing that we're actually promoting. You actually have to be either a member of our newsletter or you got to be listening to this show, because not even our show notes are promoting that we're doing $100 off.
No, and it's a nice discount, and just us. We, like we said, Jeff, we wanted to open this opportunity up, and just to make it as easy as we could for others. But again, we have to place value on something in order for it to be to make everything worthwhile for us and for them. So I'm excited that we can open this opportunity up again and give that $100 off.
teachercast.net/Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind. If you're looking to connect with other tech coaches, if you're looking for professional development, as we've said before, we'll say it again. If you're going to invest in anything this holiday season, invest in yourself. Join us for the TeacherCast Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind, an 8-week program. You'll be happy that you did. Now, Nick, that you had mentioned in that mastermind Facebook group, you had been doing a 12 days of Christmas. And I noticed that's kind of the topic that we're here about. Like, what do tech coaches do during these holiday days, right? Because nobody wants to be coached the week before. And it's easy for a teacher to say, "Ooh, I can bring Nick in to do the work for me. I'll sit in the back while Nick entertains the kids because, it's that day before." So tell us a little bit about, first of all, what is our tech coach tip of the day? And then tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah. So, our tech tip is that it's always important for tech coaches to remember that innovation can be just as a part of the holiday season as it is during the busy times of year. So
Hmm.
that kind of leads into, like you said, what I was doing and taking advantage of this whole 12 days of tech innovation is what I had called my days leading up, and we're going to be wrapping it up shortly. And the whole idea is just 12 days that got my teachers to try things that they've maybe never done before or learn a quick little tip along the way. So this was a little innovative activity geared at getting my teachers to collaborate, to try something, to incorporate technology, and be done within 15 minutes.
Now, I want to know how you did it, right? Because it's so easy for any tech coach, even in a district where everybody's behind what you're doing, to say, we're going to try something different. We're going to try something a little bit festive. And then get people to actually do it. What give us your story here. How did you set it up? Was it a simple email? Did you put stuff on a Google Calendar? How did you get people involved and really behind the concept? Because basically what you're asking people to do is more work.
You're right. And I think that's the thing though. I think that's the way to look at it. You're asking people to do more work. So when I'm going into the prepping and the design phases, how do I make it feel not like work? And I think that was the game going behind it. So I've done a lot of work with gamifying my professional development plan in my district. I think I've gotten a lot of buy-in over the couple years that I've been here. Um, and now along the when the holidays come, they look for an activity. Last year we did a fun collaborative storyline where people had to kind of talk and share things that were happening with them or happened with them over the course of their teaching career. So this was 12 days. Every day was a new task. I used Google Drawings to create these. We'll call them hyper docs, if you will, that are embedded into our LMS with a video or discussion panel, and then they can kind of post their questions. And then they have to do something, and that something involves something short where they learn, how to embed hidden links inside of a Google drawing, or they had to learn how to find transparent images using a Google search and then embed that into a Google slide presentation. So it was something that was short and sweet, but it didn't feel like work. They were 100% collaborating with each other along the way. So everything I did was a one big collaborative Google slide or one big collaborative Google drawing. And I've got over 100 teachers participating. And I will
Wow.
tell you that they've all said, hey, Nick, I love this activity and I've at least taken one thing away.
And you know what it sounds like you're doing? You're doing professional development without doing professional development.
I think that's it. Like, that goes back to what you said in the beginning, that how do you get them to do work if it's going to feel like work? And I think that's it. I'm getting them to do professional development when it doesn't just feel like they're sitting in a professional development workshop, and it's at their own pace. They've got 12 days, every day a new thing opens, but they've got over the course of the 12 days to go back and work on something maybe that they missed or skipped.
Now, you mentioned a lot of activities. Where did you get the ideas from this? Did the ideas come from being in the classrooms, asking teachers, or hanging out on social media? How did you find these innovative ideas?
A lot of it, I think some things maybe on social media that I saw pass through, but I will say a lot of things were just um, activities that I've done with teachers in maybe different workshops or that have come up that I've just kind of came back because the teacher said, "Hey, I forgot how to do something." And then I kind of documented and said, "All right, that would be a good one to use as a way to kind of go back and try something out that maybe they've done before." So that's it. They're just little things that maybe they also didn't know they can do. How do you open up a Google map and share it with 100 plus people, but allow everyone to drop pins on different locations and then embed an image or embed a YouTube video or something into the Google Map. And just that was it. It was just things that maybe they haven't also thought of. My whole idea was how could this also spark maybe an activity or a lesson in the classroom? And I think that was a piece that a lot of teachers took away was, oh man, I never thought about, a Google Map in that way or a Google Drawing and having all, 120 students that maybe I see throughout the day all sharing on the same Google Drawing.
It's easy this time of year for teachers to want to shut down a little bit, just as it's easy for teachers to start to feel the pressure of the holiday season is coming, midterms are right around the corner, we're taking time off. How do I crunch all these projects so that way they don't hang over the break? We want to get them done on that Friday before. How can we suggest tech coaches kind of navigate the waters, right? Because you don't want to go in there the week before. Like here we are. Like this is we're dropping this episode the week before the holiday starts, right? You don't want to be the person that walks into an elementary classroom and says, "Hey Nick, I'm here to coach you," or "Hey Nick, did you hear this new thing about Google Slides?" You kind of want to play the water of you still want to be helpful. You don't want to get taken advantage of by having a teacher go, "Ooh, Nick's here. Let me take the period off." Or, "Hey, Nick, can you come and work with all of my students on this particular project?" What advice do you keep for yourself of, be helpful, but don't let them take advantage of you?
Yeah, I think we have to come up with ways in which we can best support the teachers. Uh, and also come up with, how do we do that in a way that's still professional, that isn't, like you said, isn't me as the tech coach, even though maybe I'm certified to teach in the classroom, to basically take their class over for a day or two because now it's an easy way for them to get out of it. I hope that teachers don't do that. I think one of the things is just how do we create engaging experience for their students, and
Right.
let's use this time right before the holiday to be an innovative time to just let's just try some things that might pique and engage our students, and then hey, we'll know after if this is something worth pursuing when we get back, from the holiday break. How about you? What are some things you're thinking about when you're going into supporting teachers during the holiday season?
I'm coming up with those things to help the teachers survive the next week. Many teachers are sitting there going, "Oh, I have 5 days. I've got four. What do I do with them?" I've been creating a lot of breakouts with our teachers, and this is elementary or middle school, even, just to have something that's there showing them examples of what these things are, providing that support where needed. I mean, I've started blogs with the kids. Right now, I've got 3 breakout EDUs scheduled for this week with teachers where, maybe I did 20% of the work, maybe I did 70% of the work, but it's something where I'm trying to show to the teacher that this is possible on a smaller scale. So that way, when we come back in January and, when we get to the February, March months, they'll have those experiences and then we can come back to them and create them on larger scale sizes. I've been also getting a lot of business on STEM education. What can we do with robots? What can we do with, just basic coding applications? If you got a day before holidays and you don't want to sit there and watch Elf, hey, Hour of Code is still available and can easily be manipulated for any subject or grade level. Different things like that, just to kind of spark the teacher's interest in saying it's okay to be breaking out, pun intended, to do these different things. Nick, you mentioned breakout already. Do you have any good examples or any good advice on teachers who, they've heard about it, they've tried it, but how do you up your game really for breakout games? Because they're difficult to comprehend at first, but they're not really that difficult to put together once you get rolling with it.
No, not at all. And I always say if you're new to it, just find a game, sit with me, or I share, some examples of things that teachers have done in the past. But I say go with, pre-made. Don't think like we're here to design a whole entire breakout game right before the break just to do it.
Ooh.
But try right, and then it's like you're slammed with time. There's no way it's going to happen. So I just say, what, if this is a first time, we're just going to go with what they have. I always say, too, is the digital breakouts, Jeff. I know you've had good turnout with that, and teachers have liked that, and so have their students. I think that's another avenue for them to, hey, if you want to take advantage of the breakout, try it using heck, this Google site with all these things, and we go through it that way as well.
So I have a confession to make, Nick.
Uh oh.
I have a teacher, a wonderful teacher, that asked me to help out create a breakout EDU so that way our administration can go through the breakout EDU.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
I've been messing around with Google Forms and Google Sites, and I decided that I wanted to kind of what's the right word? Impress a little bit. Show off some of the
Mhm.
things because really, let's face it, Nick. When we're creating things with teachers, what are we doing? We're creating examples to show the next teacher, right?
Right.
So I've been on a kick to use animations in the banner sequence of Google Slides, and
Oh,
I found this
okay.
really nice animation of snow falling. And I took the graphic, I stuck it into Screencastify, I played it out. I basically redesigned the border of this thing. I went all out to make it the perfect graphic. Stuck it on my Google Sites, and all the pages now have this snowfall effect. And I thought, all right, we're gonna go a step further. I took that same graphic and I made a smaller rectangle version of a Google slide, and I was trying to do an effect where you have the banner with snowfall down, and then the Google slide had snowfall down, and it was fantastic. It was gorgeous. If it had worked, it was great. But what I realized is that when you're trying to do all this stuff, that one graphic was 15 megs. And so when you load it the Google site page, you're loading not only the 15 meg animation, but you're loading it on the Google slide as well, and it just ruined page speed. So sometimes you go for it and you realize,
Right.
maybe not.
Right, absolutely, and I've had that effect with Metaverse, in the past where I've wanna go all out, and I've used it for a digital breakout and realized, some of the things I've attempted to do didn't go the way that I've planned,
Right.
but, hey, we learn too as coaches,
We
so
learned too. What ended up happening was instead of having a snowfall animator on an animated snowfall, I just did the inner Google slide as a solid, as a solid
Okay,
background.
sure.
So, it's the same effect, but only one background is snowing, and okay, it kind of works a little bit better on that stuff. But like I said, everything that I'm doing is always for the next teacher, right? Like I'm always trying to come up with examples to show somebody else. So let's talk a little bit about things that the tech coaches can do in those last few days of December. I always find this is a great time to schedule yourself with yourself, right? Like get yourself organized. We've done shows on organizing your calendar, organizing your websites, finding ways to organize your bookmarks, going back and going into your OneDrives, your Google Drives, things like that to, make sure that the folders and the names, basically what you want to do is you want to set yourself up so that way when you come back in January, you're ready to go and up to speed. And if it means taking an hour or two of this week in December and just getting yourself organized, oh, go do it. And I would say the second thing in there is invite others to get organized with you. I just got done doing a couple of my favorite workshops, Nick, called Stop, Drop, and Get Organized. And really, we spent 3 hours going into Google Drive organization, Google Gmail organization, Google Photos, YouTube. I mean, everything that you can get organized, we really went into. And, that's one of my favorite workshops. We have it available over at TeacherCast University. You can take an online course there. But really, just making sure that you guys have access to an organized and clean drive is absolutely good. Now, Nick, you're also in the mood for updating your Schoology resources and your tech coach websites, right?
Absolutely, and that's just something I think we as tech coaches, when we feel that downtime, and it's that I think we're always trying to update our site and our links and our resources and any handouts that maybe we give out or digital flyers and s'mores. Um, but yeah, I'm always in the process of updating my stuff, and right now I'm actually in the process of trying to finalize an online module all around design thinking and innovation and that sort of stuff. Um, for the beginning of the next year. So when we come back in January, there's a new, 5+ hour, I think it's going to be a 5 or 6 hour online self-paced module that teachers will be able to walk themselves through, gain some PD hours, but learn about design thinking.
I also find that this is a good time to tackle those side projects. Maybe a principal said, "Hey, could you take care of this for me without a deadline?" Now's a good time to go find those things, right? Maybe you need to update something or, tweak something. Now's a good time to update those tackle things. And, I got to tell you, the one thing I'm definitely going to be doing this week is just reflecting. Like, what has the last 4 or 5 months done? I feel we haven't had a major break, since August, really, when we started planning for new teacher orientation. What have we done? How have we done it? And how can we really be more effective come January through the next part of the year?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the same exact thing. I think reflecting on everything and I think every year I also toss up the idea. I've done it before. Half year evaluations or surveys to staff.
Yeah.
I don't know if like you, sometimes I have a couple workshops already planned January into February, but I usually don't because now is around the time where I start planning those things out. So if you're a tech coach who maybe sort of like me is waiting on what do I run during the second half of the year, this may not be a bad time to kind of send out that half year survey and say, hey, here's a quick 2 or 3 questions. But what are your feelings about these various things or topics or even how I run? Here are workshops and how I run them, or an hour long or 2 hours long, and see which setup they like more.
So there's a lot of great things that we can certainly do this week. As we're wrapping up, we are certainly not done with the end of the year. We are going through. I know we always post this show on Mondays. Next Monday we have our December roundtable. It was a good one. We recorded it actually last week, and it's all about tech coach holiday wish lists. Nick, we had some great guests on the show, didn't we?
We did, and it was I will call it a powerhouse lineup there of people that we had from literally all over. So those three that we had were great, and it was just exciting just to talk about and kind of shoot ideas on. If you could pick any app or have any app, what would you take? And if you could fix an app, what would you do? And it was fun to just toss this around with other tech coaches slash, I mean, one is what, an assistant principal, Jeff, and one does it for I think her entire district. So it was a fun roundtable.
On December 31st, we are kicking off 2019 the right way. We're going to be talking about strategies for working with reluctant teachers, right? And Nick, this is really what we had just mentioned, right? Figure out through reflection, how have you been this year? What can you do differently? And I always take this winter break to go, all right, if I can identify 3 or 4 or 5 teachers that I really want to go after and say, I want to see if I can make a dent in their classrooms. How do you do that, right? Nick, what are some of the things that we're going to be talking about on the 31st about working with and really introducing technology into the classrooms of reluctant teachers?
Yeah, so we're gonna touch on looking at how do we kind of get through with those teachers. So, if they're reluctant, figuring out, are they more reluctant, or are they maybe not get or understand the topic or what you're doing? So that can kind of go into pace, and that can go into what do we do? Jeff, we kind of touched on it before. What do you? I think that was one of our previous. What do you do when your teachers don't get it? Type idea. So,
Hmm.
just looking at those things, different ways to kind of go about breaking it down to maybe tiering different workshops. I love the idea of when teachers are hesitant or they're not quite sure, offering a variety of ways for them to get the same information, or if they're not quite sure, if reluctant to participate because they're not sure if they are at the level of the workshop, well, then you tier it, and now maybe you offer a beginner's, intermediate, and advanced level. So we're going to talk about a couple different ways to do that.
And we, of course, want to know what you guys are looking at. We are always looking for great ideas for our upcoming shows. We've got some pretty great topics coming up for January and February, but what we don't have is you. We would love to have you guys be a part of the TeacherCast Educational Network and be a part of AskTheTechCoach.com. If you guys have any questions, you can, of course, reach out to us on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach. We're pretty busy there. You can, of course, find us on by voicemail over at teachercast.net/voicemail and email us over at feedback@teachercast.net. Now, Nick, we have a new announcement that you'd like to say to us. There's something new in your life. What did Nick recently purchase that is a great place for people to go find him?
Absolutely. So I'm hoping that this was the right decision. So people can now find my website at nicholasamaral.com, and then obviously on Twitter at namaral.edu. So I'm hoping that people will go there, and this will make it easier for them to find me and my stuff.
And once again, check out all the great stuff over at AskTheTechCoach.com, our Tech Coach podcast, blog posts coming your way in early 2019. We've got a couple Tech Coach online courses to, of course, complement the great things that we're doing here on the channel. But don't forget, now is the time to invest in yourself. Go to teachercast.net/AskTheTechCoachMastermind. Sign up today. Get $200. Sign up today for $200. You get a $100 coupon by going to TC100. That's teachercast.net/AskTheTechCoachMastermind. Check out all the great stuff that we have starting in January on the TeacherCast Tech Coaching Network. And on behalf of everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury.
And I'm Nick Amaral.
Reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.